Hi everyone, we thought we'd put together a video answering your questions, and if you enjoy it then we'll keep rolling with it, hey?
Yeah, that's right. So what's been happening, we always read your comments. We really, it's a big part of our channel, but it's getting to the stage where our audience is getting big enough where we can't really properly answer people. So we just thought we'd do it in video format. We grabbed the sort of the representative questions that we get asked, and we'll try and tackle those on a fairly regular basis. All right, so I've got my computer here, Pasky. So the first question, and it's a pretty common one, is, what are these for?
Oh!
Some people, when they see us sort of sailing around, we're sailing around looking like that.
This is a robbery!
What's the go?
Well, basically it's sun protection. Like, we're not really big into wearing sunscreen, so if you put this up, then you've got full sun protection pretty much with a hat on, and then with my glasses on over the top. So I don't wear super trendy glasses either. I wear ones that wrap around so that I've got full sun protection over my eyes, and then I got this up, and then with a hat, and my face is fully protected. Because a lot of people ask, a lot of cruisers ask, like, oh, how do you have how is your skin not all razil or rough? And because we try and keep ourselves out of the sun as much as possible.
Yeah, we probably, oftentimes when we're filming we do take it off because we might want to talk to the camera, but this is good sun protection, and it stops that we have to put chemical sun protection on all the time. So we don't know what the long-term implications of that is. The actual question was, I love you guys, but those handkerchiefs you wear around your face sailing, is that for windburn, gas, or garlic breath?
Well, sometimes you have garlic breath, so it's a double purpose.
I learned a lot from you guys, but this topic you haven't addressed, so hopefully we've addressed it.
It's good as well.
For sun and windburn.
And keeping your hair off your face if you're trying to trim sails, like you can just pull it straight over like that, and then you've got the hair out of your face.
Yeah, so
really
I don't know what they're called elsewhere. In Australia they're called buffs, and I've worn one just quite a bit, and I think they're quite good.
Yeah, they are good.
So there you go, sailing apparel. What's our next question? So, and this one's been quite common as well, Pasky. It says, the reef looks really healthy. Has this part of the Great Barrier Reef escaped bleaching?
Well,
I might comment on that just because of my amount of time spent on the reef. Where we particularly go diving, we're looking for those areas where there's a lot of current and a lot of water exchange. So the reef will generally be healthy, but bleaching is an event that what happens is water temperature rises quite quickly. It's not the absolute temperature, it's the change in temperature over a short amount of time. And it can stress corals and things like sea anemones to the point where they eject algae that lives in their tissues. Okay, they actually get a lot of their food from algae that's living in their skin, absorbs sunlight, which is why you find coral in shallow water, and shares the sugars and foods that it produces with the coral in exchange for a place to live. When the coral gets stressed, it ejects those algae, loses its colour, ends up white, and in effect starves to death. Some of them do recover. So
they starve because they can't photosynthesize?
That's right. They've got no photosynthetic algae helping them out, so they're little symbiotes. Okay, they're cooperative algae, they're all ejected, and the coral dies. Okay. So what did we find, Pascal? There was a big warm pocket of water that moved in over the Pacific, and it really affected that area from about Cairns to Innisfail?
Yeah.
Oh, actually Lizard Island, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it was sort of south of Cooktown, well, south of Lizard Island. But we didn't actually dive there that much, did we? Because we were aware of the bleaching event. Where we did dive, like on the way out to Holmes Reef, we did dive out there, but that was sort of more of a drop-off with deeper water, so the reef didn't look that affected there because there might have still been cooler water. Yeah. That's
right. And when I say that it's not absolute temperatures, when we dived up at Ashmore, that water's constantly in about 30 to 32 degrees up close to the equator, and that coral was thriving.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? But like you got to these corals that they may live in 18 degrees, or the water might spike up to 32 in the summer.
Yeah. And
those corals that are up in the top lagoons, those lagoons can heat up even more. But that particular one was the people that I've talked to in Cairns, they were actually tracking a big large pool of warm water that came in off the Pacific. It was tied in with like the El Nino effects.
Was it 4 degrees warmer? 2 degrees warmer?
I can't remember.
But
specifics.
it was just warm, so warm that it shocked the corals. They were like, ugh, what is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you say has the reef escaped bleaching, for now, it's an ongoing thing. But the effects that we definitely saw were the silt loads that come out of rivers where you might have some destructive agricultural practices. That was definitely a case that we saw
Around the Whitsunday area. Yeah.
We saw a bit where, in particular, where you have runoff that's got a lot of nutrient load. When the corals sort of die out, they need space to come back. You know, like corals can rebound. They're natural systems, and they're not, you know, super fragile. They've got a bit of resilience. But if algae grows thick over it and young coral can't settle, then that really sets back the recovery of a reef quite a bit. And high nutrient loads are part of that. So it's really, really complex. Some people try and oversimplify what's happening out there, but it's a very complex system. I don't know if you can just quickly say it's this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
All right, so as long as we're in and under the water, we've got another question here. How do you know when sharks are a big deal? When you should worry or get out of the water? Is it size, species, numbers, or location? It would be great to learn more. What do you reckon, Pasky? When are they a big deal for you?
I think they're a big deal if they're all agitated and excited. If you're out spearfishing and they're all agitated and excited, that really doesn't happen very much for us because we're very quick to kill our fish
and get them out of the water.
Whereas we recently saw a whole lot of spear fishermen swimming around with a whole lot of fish coming off the back of a float.
They lost it, didn't they?
And they lost their fish, and they had a big whaler very excited swimming around them. I wouldn't have been very comfortable in that situation. So
I was very comfortable because I was on the boat watching it.
Yeah, laughing.
Well, that's, yeah. So how have you felt, when was the last time you felt uncomfortable?
I got a bit of a shock when we were at Musgrave. Troy was just towing me. I was hanging onto the side of the dinghy and we were trying to look for manta rays, and Troy was just towing me. And
trolling might be another term.
And we stopped for a while to look at some dolphins, and then a shark, quite a big shark, came up actually.
He's a nice stocky whaler.
It was a whaler, yeah, and I think he would have been about dinghy size. Yeah. And so he swam right up, and that's always a bit of a shock when they swim right up at you. But initially I got a fright and wanted to just jump out of the water, but I actually kept eye contact with him and looked at him, and he tried to come up at me and then he just turned away. So if you've got eye contact with them, this is what you've always said to me because you've had a lot more experience diving with sharks than I have. So.
Yep. Okay, so to address the question from my point of view, and I just put it over to Passy because you're still getting used to seeing sharks, aren't you?
Yeah.
So the way you look at them would be closer to a lot of our viewers, I think.
Yeah.
When I was aquarium fishing and pearl diving, you just wouldn't leave the water. Like the sharks would be around, but the thing is you weren't generating an opportunity for sharks. You weren't shooting fish. When I was aquarium fisherman, we'd be getting little fish, and sharks would be curious. They'd be right there because you're making a bit of noise and disturbance. They want to see what the opportunity is, but they weren't there aggressively. And even I was down at quite some depth, and I saw 3 big female hammerheads swimming right up to me out of the deep, and they came and had a look and went away. So it's not necessarily the size or the number, but definitely their attitude.
Yeah.
If sharks are really moving and cutting zigzags in the water, that would start to make me wonder where the dinghy was, start to get a bit uncomfortable. And
you were saying as well, if you are swimming after them and you trap them in a position, if there's shallow reef or something like that, you wouldn't want to do that.
That's, specific to grey reef sharks. What'll happen is if you pressure them and you trap them between, if you're between open water and the reef, or if you're between them and open water, if they're trapped against the reef, they actually start to hunch, tuck their fins down, and this is pretty well known amongst shark people, that they tuck their fins down and they really exaggerate their swimming style. If any shark started to do any sort of exaggerated hunched up maneuvers, crunching themselves up, I would just totally get right out of their way. So it's not their numbers. Maybe when we go further south, I think I might leave the water if I saw a 4 metre great white. You know, something that bites mammals in half for a living. You know, I can't say because I haven't seen one in the water. I remember before I saw my first tiger shark in the water, I was like, oh my God, tiger sharks. But then when I actually saw one in the water, I was thrilled.
Yeah, you're diving down to see it.
Yeah,
better.
yeah, I was. And they're really nice sharks. So I would put it down to attitude, because it would be, maybe the species. So we'll just say if I saw a great white, I'd probably be a little bit upset about it, particularly size. If it was bigger than me.
Have you seen like the Pacific ones, the oceanic white tips? Have you seen one of them?
An oceanic white tip, yeah. Once I was diving in very, very clear water, out in about 1,000 metres of water. I went, oh look, there's a little shark down there, and it just went and became big really quickly, and it was just a big smiley face coming up from the deep. But
were you scared, or were you?
I got out.
You got out.
But it was just me. I didn't have a buddy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And like Pascal said, eye contact makes up for a lot of it. You'll often see that sharks will be doing their thing and they'll be sort of sneaking up, and as you look at them, they're very sensitive to eye contact.
And once that's happened, your heart rate just calms down completely. Well, it did for me anyway. Once I stared at it and it backed away and swam away, and then came up and had a look at me, but it wasn't aggressive or anything. It was just curious. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're a great feature of the reef. So. We like
think
sharks.
They're awesome.
Not everyone does, and I can fully understand it. Okay, what's another one? Just watched all the episodes. Some people like to binge these episodes when they find us, which is great. Just watched all the episodes after I was recommended the channel by another yachty. Are you still a couple of months behind on the videos compared to where you are right now? And if so, are you going to catch up to the present day? What do you reckon, Pasky?
Well, we were like 5 or 6 months behind, but now we're only about 2 months behind, which is pretty cool, because we had a break from filming when we were in Brisbane, and we went home to see family in Perth. That was in April and May.
Yep.
So now we're kind of a bit more caught up than what we were before. At the moment, the videos coming out now were filmed in July, so yeah, we're only a couple of months behind.
Yep. So we deliberately got a bit in front, just so we had a bit of leeway in case life got in the way, because we want to give you guys an episode every week. But we'll also be catching up, because some of the stuff that we did, we don't just want to make a video to make a video's sake. Some of it would have been repetitive, wouldn't it? Like we visited the same places because we liked them.
Yeah.
And we might touch on that, but we're not going to do another big special of just like, oh look, here's us diving again for hours and hours.
We'll just do the highlights, the very best things that happened to us over the last, over June and July when we were in the Capricorn bunker, doing Capricorn Coast again. Yep. Because it is a different season, so different things happen to us. But yeah, we try not to make it too repetitive. Yeah. Yeah.
Some people often ask, oh, can you do this or that or the other thing? A nice thing to point out would be that we don't sit around in a focus group scripting this.
Yeah.
As we sail around and we live our life, we just film parts of it, by no means all of it, and then at the end of the week we sort of get together and try and make a story out of it. So none of it's scripted that you see. So if you can give suggestions for us to make videos in the future, but if we don't live that life, we're not going to be filming it. Yeah. So what I really want to get at is if we think that what we've been doing, even though it's fun for us, might be repetitive for you, we'll skip it, and so you'll probably see that we'll actually catch up. But if people want to see where we are in real time,
yeah, you can definitely follow us on Facebook, and also we've got a pretty active Instagram account as well. So
yeah, there's a lot of people joining on.
Yeah.
And for those people that already follow us on Facebook, thanks very much for sharing our stuff on your Facebook page. We've had a lot of new people join us on Facebook, and I think we've seen quite a few people share our stuff. So yeah, if you've been telling your friends about free range sailing, either by Facebook or in real life or however, thanks very much, because we've just seen a bit of an uptick in people coming to enjoy our stuff. What else? Great video. Do you guys have any plans to leave Australia for a trip?
Yes, we do. But we really want to do Australia properly in MIRROOL while we have MIRROOL. So yeah, we're just going to focus on Australia for now, but we do have plans in the works for travelling overseas. So it kind of depends where we depart from Australia from as to where we end up first. But top of our bucket list is to go to Alaska. So
it's so good.
So
However we get there, we would really like to take an Australian boat overseas. I don't think we'll take MIRROOL, just because when I bought it, it was a single man's boat, and I'm by no means a single man now, am I?
yeah. Well, you bought her specifically for doing Northern Australia. So.
I did, yeah. So boats you sort of get for purpose. So when we do leave Australia eventually, it will be in a different boat, and again that will be for what we envisage in the future that we'd like to go to. Like going to a cold climate in a boat like this, where would we fit survival gear? We can't even put a stove anywhere where we wouldn't get burnt by it.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
And also when we started free range sailing, we were really motivated to showcase Australia to other Australians. It's now that we've got like a bit of an international audience, which we're really grateful for. Yeah, we will be, people will probably take an interest in following along, but we really did want to show Australia to our countrymen, because not everyone can get out and do it, and so we wanted to share, but we're happy to share it with people from anywhere they are in the world. We've also had a few questions about, now this ties into two of them. We just recently bought some computers and upgraded them, but Bruce here is asking about how does the extra power drain compare, or the main crux of the question is he'd love to know how long you can run the computers on solar. So at the moment the solar upgrades...
Do you want to just talk about quickly what the computers are and how much they draw?
Alright, so I've got this little computer that one of our viewers actually refurbished and sent along. He asked not to be mentioned because, well, I don't know, for his own reasons. It's just some people are very, very modest but very generous in the same token. So this is a very low powered computer, and I do things like this, writing stuff and like just doing word processing and just checking on the internet.
Yeah.
But we do have each an editing computer, and they can draw like, well, 10 to 12 amps. They're like 240 watt computers. So they can go crazy. So MIRROOL used to be able to do a whole 24 hours on about 30 amp hours. So if we're running those laptops, we can do that in a couple of hours. Yeah. Can't we?
Yeah.
So most of the time, what limits us to bringing a video is actually how much power we can generate. So if there's no wind and it's very cloudy, we're sort of screwed.
Yeah, we pretty much can't edit. So
yeah.
We've got to read or do some other activity, go diving or go for a walk. Or
right.
Yeah.
We can fall back on our diesel engine running a 55 amp alternator, and that will charge up the batteries reasonably well. If it's windy, when we were in Pancake Creek and the winds were blasting, Pascal was free to edit all day because the wind generator was putting about 10 to 20 amps in. Yeah. And the solar panels were contributing as well. Yeah. But in these sunny conditions, you could probably, what is it? So if your computer's taking about 10 amps, plus the fridge and everything else is about 30, so it starts off at 30. If you did another bit of editing, if you did editing each day for about 3 hours, that would probably be about it, 60 amp hours, I reckon. We found the solar panels, even though, if you stuck with us through the solar panel saga, even though the wattage of output of those wasn't really as advertised, it's been quite good, because the way that we have the solar panels so they can fold down, early in the morning when the sun just cracks the horizon, because they're folded vertically, and the original panels, if you watch the videos, you can see that the other panels sit like that. So you've got those panels and you've got some vertical panels on either side. The sun's generally on one side, and we can start from like 6:30, 7 in the morning, bam, 6 amps straight away. Yeah, when I woke up this morning, you just checked the controller and we were getting 6 amps. So yep. That was at 7 this morning. So in the past, we used to only really make 6 amps up to about 9 amps for about 8 hours of every day. Wasn't it really? Or less, yeah. So the sun, in the Kimberleys, in those gorges, we made hardly anything. So even though the wattage isn't great, the design that we've settled on, and we did it in a sort of a bit of a janky fashion because we were just figuring out ideas, what we want to live with in the future, having the vertical solar panels that can then come up and track the sun has meant that we're able to get between like 60 and 80 amp hours in a day.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
So yes, if the sun is shining and the wind is blowing, we can absolutely keep up with those computers' demands. So Pascal runs an Alienware R3 15-inch, and I've got a MSI GE73 MVR.
Wow, cool. I'm glad you remembered that. I don't know what they are.
Nerd talk. That's because I've been pulling the insides out and upgrading SD and RAM. I've souped up Pascal's computer, so it's just a crazy thing now. And I'm in the process of souping mine up, but I'm still bumbling around a little bit, and I ordered some wrong bits.
Sending them back and getting the right bits.
Because I'm an idiot sometimes. So they're the questions that I highlighted just off the last video.
The batteries to handle the charge, I reckon people might be wondering about the batteries, because that is a common question too.
Oh, it is actually.
Yeah.
All right. So the battery storage on MIRROOL, and we're in the process of putting together a boat tour video.
Yeah.
So I know we've been promising this for a while, but it's either been rough weather or we've been really like crashing around.
And we didn't want to film it in a marina. So.
We didn't want to do it in a marina. We have had power constraints through the wet season because it was very, very cloudy, but now things are going pretty well for us. So it's on track. But to get back to what you were saying, the batteries that we have, we've got 4 golf cart batteries. They're 6 volt each. They're the T105s by Trojan. So being 6 volt, we run a 12 volt system. So of the 4 batteries, we divided into 2 pairs. So each pair is wired in series. Okay, the positive is wired over to the negative, and that adds up the voltages, so it gives 12 volts. And then we parallel wired the 2 pairs together, and that combines the amp hours that they can hold. So our effective storage is about, because it makes it up to about 400 amp hours, because they're lead acid, about 200 amp hours of storage. So we can pull 200 amps out over an hour.
Lead acid, because they're lead acid, you can only discharge them half of their amps.
Yeah, and people are often promoting lithium because of they've got a lot of advantages. They like being discharged and stuff like that. It's just that I'm an old stick in the mud and I like 130-year-old technology.
Well, you like to be able to service things and troubleshoot them, and it would be very difficult with lithium batteries.
Yeah, it's a limit. It's not a. I think it's a limit in my knowledge of them, really.
Yeah.
But I'm more comfortable with lead acid at this stage, and I still haven't made up my mind what the environmental damage of lithium is.
Yeah.
Like, I sort of know lead acid, they can sort of be, recovered. The lead can be reused.
They can be broken down, like. Whereas, how do you dispose of a dead lithium battery? Is what you're thinking.
Yeah. Some people might have some more knowledge on that. I just don't.
Yeah.
That's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not an early adopter. So.
Yeah, we'll wait until it's established.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard some problems. I know that thermal runaway, where they burst into flames, isn't such an issue. Before you write in and say that in a boat lead acid's not ideal because salt water can make them release chlorine gas, I know. And we take steps, and they can spill if we heel over. These Trojans, they don't. The way we've got them sort of configured, and they've got a really great caps that go on the top of them. We've never had a spill yet, and we have leaned it right over, haven't we? We tried to lean it right over this morning actually, but we escaped. So
that was an adventure this morning.
So that's what it is. We've got all of those. I don't even know how many watts of solar are coming out because I don't know what they are. Call them, let's say that we've got 300 watts of solar going into a 400 amp hour battery bank.
Yeah.
You reckon people will be happy with that?
I think so.
Cool. Okay, so again, we'll be scouring the comments section and replying to those questions. So if you do have questions, feel free to write in, and you might see them answered right here. Of course, if you're a patron, we'll just answer your questions each week, because there's not that many, patrons, and well, they give us money, so we sort of like to we like to answer their questions fairly directly. What else do we want to say, Pascal?
Well, it's actually MIRROOL'S birthday coming up.
Oh, it is. This month.
Yeah.
She turns 50.
Yeah. Yeah.
So MIRROOL turns 50.
Yeah.
Free range sailing has turned
2.
2.
Yeah.
And that's a point. Everyone, whether they're patrons or they've sent us something on PayPal, or we've done an event in your area and you've sort of slipped us a bit of cash or whatever. Thank you for everyone that's done that, because a year ago we would have stopped. There'd be no more free range sailing videos. We would have just done Northern Australia, said there you go, that's the end of it, and gone back to our just sailing around and working in between, because we could do that. We could sail on about 3 or 4 months worth of our income.
Yeah.
But for everyone that's contributed, every single episode that we've put out, and we put out an episode every week, so it's another 50 episodes. Every one of those is thanks to you people, because we wouldn't have done it otherwise.
Yeah,
there's no financial way it was possible.
Yeah, and definitely like all of the footage that we've had in recent episodes or in the last 50 episodes with the drone and all the better audio and all those sorts of things, that's all thanks to contributions from you guys. So
yeah.
Yeah.
We appreciate all the support, but the financial support is what makes it possible.
Yeah.
So, what you tally up as about 20 grand worth of stuff?
Yeah, we've put about 20 grand worth of computer and filmmaking gear over the last like 13, 14 months.
Yeah, so that's also a point. If you've sent money, you've actually made an investment in free range sailing, because we took that and invested it in gear, hopefully to make a better channel.
Yeah.
Sorry, rambling. You brought that
So
up
anyway,
because we're going to have a live chat.
We're going to have a party, and you're all invited. So we're going to have a live chat, and to avoid confusion, because everybody's at different places at different times, the information about the party is in the description of the video.
Yep.
So
if you go to the description for this video that you're watching right now, we'll write out the time in Greenwich Mean Time, but we'll also have a link to a website where you can put in those details.
The Greenwich Mean Time, yeah.
And find out what is the time in your area. So we're going to be doing it around midnight, which is hectic for us, but it's just so that we can incorporate people in the US and in Europe.
Yeah.
To get everyone involved, we're going to have to do it around midnight. So if you're in
Folks
Australia,
in New Zealand and Japan, you're going to be like us, drinking it. Maybe, well, it's going to be on the weekend, so yeah, like, if you're up, you're up. You might have gone out for dinner and you stay up and have a drink with us. We'll probably pop a bottle of champagne. So
I might have some beer or maybe a scotch.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. So maybe see you at the live chat, but we will gather some more viewer questions and we'll get to it.
And keep enjoying the episodes as well, the weekly episodes that we bring out.
Yep, all of that. All right, take care.